Now, for you to achieve anything in this world, you must be able to take care of the politics. And politics is in everything we do. Now, humor me today because I want to be very simple and very clear. Because on this channel, I've criticized the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and people have said, Chris, you have something personal against DP Ruto. I have criticized the policies of the President of Tanzania, and people have said it's personal. And so today, I beg you to give me the chance to reduce it to standard 2 stuff so that you understand where I'm coming from. And so that I prove to you that there's nothing personal in this. I'm just analyzing politics, nothing else. So let's get started here and with the real life examples of politics outside politics, if you will. Now, I used to work for a company which was owned by a very draconian boss. And this boss was a foreigner. In fact, he just used to stop short of assaulting members of staff physically. He never did that. But the damage he did on them, I think even physical punishment is better. A member of staff would make a mistake, and the guy, believe it or not, would jump on top of his desk, start screaming at the person, while jumping up and down on his executive desk. I kid you not. And he would use abusive language, mostly from his country of origin, to describe how stupid and how idiotic that particular member of staff was. Now, accidents do happen, especially where many people work. But if you, by any chance, damaged any property of the company, you would take the value of that particular item, multiply it by 5, and deduct it from your salary. One member of staff parked the company vehicle in the CBD in Nairobi and went to see a client. Now, when he came back, unfortunately, somebody had hit him and taken off. So there was a dent in the car. Now, this particular member of staff was in the sales department. So they under salary plus commission. And they got deducted, wait for this one, 60,000 shillings for a very small dent on the car. That was their salary plus commission for 1 month, and they still owed the next month. And this draconian boss was a foreigner, And so the staff ganged up and decided they were going to teach him a lesson. But they made one fatal mistake. They didn't take care of the politics. So they reported this boss. I was not involved, the others were, because I realized here the politics had not been taken care of. So I stayed clean out of it. And they called me a coward, plus other names I would never repeat on this channel. So somebody knew somebody at labor, very good contact, so they used them. So an official complaint was filed against this foreigner boss. To cut a long story short, it didn't work. Nothing happened. The guy called in his lawyer when the labor people came in. And in fact, just without boring you the details, what happened, 2 or 3 people ended up losing their jobs. And this draconian boss continued with business as usual. Ignore the politics at your own peril. So let me give you another example, which many of us are familiar with. Somebody worked under a Chinese boss. I believe someone on Thika Road. And this Chinese boss was very abusive. Used to like calling him a monkey. And this smart Kenyan, didn't go to the labor office. He didn't report the boss anywhere. Instead, he decided to take care of this situation, of his problem, politically. You know what happened? He took a video clip of the man saying what he used to say, what he used to like saying, and he posted it online. You all know what happened. His boss got deported. And in fact, if this Kenyan would have taken matters further, he would have sued in a court of law and gotten a very huge award for damages. That's what I call smart politics. You read the situation and you act accordingly. Now let's come to politics. We used to have a president in Kenya, indeed the 3rd president of the Republic of Kenya, called Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki. In my view, the most brilliant mind we've ever had seated right inside State House. And he knew exactly how to fix Kenya. Yeah, because he started very well. He started with something called the Kroll Report. He commissioned a report, and the whole idea was to end corruption in Kenya. Zero tolerance to corruption. He was an economist, and he knew how to fix the economy. Yeah, and indeed, during his tenure, in fact, especially during the first term, despite all the political problems he had, Kenya registered very impressive economic growth. That is a fact. But he didn't take care of the politics. In fact, he hated politics so much, and even hated a political mud fight, which is the basics in politics anywhere in the world, so much so that he became the first president of the Republic of Kenya to hire a spokesperson. And you all know the name of his spokesperson was Alfred Mutua. To cut a very long story short, Mwai Kibaki completely failed in politics. And this completely drowned any achievement he may have had during his presidency. Because what happened? We had the very shameful issue of the 2007-2008 tribal clashes, which culminated in a very messy grand coalition government, where he was supposed to share power. It didn't. The whole thing was a mess. You may be the most brilliant mind, and you may have the best intentions for your constituents or even your country for your president. But if you ignore the politics, it's all useless. Now let's go to the latest incident that took place in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. We're all familiar with the two journalists, Angela Quintal and Mudhoki Mumo, who were arrested while in the country. Well, it turned out actually they were on a mission for the Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, and they were in the country for a fact-finding mission, to find out what conditions are like in the country for journalists. Now, I need to interrupt this to tell you something, because I don't want people getting the wrong impression. Nobody has threatened me. I'm not scared, because people may wonder, Chris is not throwing his usual barbs. Trust me, all this is voluntary. I have decided to do this myself so that I bring out this point very clearly, because when you throw barbs, you may miss the point. Let us not even interrogate whether it was right or wrong to arrest the two journalists. Let us even pretend for a moment that the Tanzanian government were right in arresting these foreign journalists. They broke the laws of the country. Okay? Let's just accept that for now. So as a government, you send these people to this hotel, and they pick up these two journalists, and they take them to an undisclosed location. Now remember, we're not talking legal, we're not even talking human rights. We're just talking politics. Now, no country is an island on its own. We all live in a world which is a very tiny village. So what you have done is that you have picked up journalists, two journalists, and they've vanished. That's how everybody looks at it, because they don't know what's going to happen next. The government is not releasing any statement to say they've actually arrested the journalists. Nobody's talking. Two foreign journalists have just entered Tanzania and vanished. Now you have done this a few weeks after the very gruesome murder of another journalist, whose name was Jamal Khashoggi. So using common sense, let's just put on our thinking caps. Let's leave every bit of emotion out of this. What do you expect? And that's not all. In the same country, another journalist called Azori Gwanda vanished, last year. To date, he has never been seen. Now tell me, what do you expect as a government when you make such a move? Really? Well, for anybody, you don't even need to work for the government. It's just common sense. You'd have expected nothing short of an international incident, a diplomatic incident, which is exactly what happened here, because these are foreigners. They belong to foreign governments. The journalist Angela Quintal is South African. Mudhoki Mumo is a Kenyan. So naturally, these people have friends, they have relatives, they have family. Definitely you'll expect the embassies or high commissions of the respective countries to get involved. Yes, your relationship with South Africa is very good, not very good with Kenya, but it doesn't matter. Yes, Jamal Khashoggi was murdered very far away, in somewhere in the Middle East, not in your country. But what do you expect? Yeah, as I've told you, the world is a small village. Now, for the record, the US State Department issued a statement. The US is the most powerful nation in the world. Now, you can talk about how you're a sovereign country until the chickens come home. Yeah, you can talk about foreign interference, all that rubbish, and so on and so forth. But if we're to face the facts, when the US State Department issues a statement, it's a big deal, period. Now just be patient because there's a chain of other events that have taken place in Tanzania as a result of myopic politics by the Tanzanian authorities. The incident also attracts international press attention. Yeah, these are journalists. They're journalists all over the world. And of course, they're going to report about it. Now, as if that is not bad enough, something else happened. Yeah? You take away the passports of these journalists. Yeah, their passports are taken away. You take away their computers and their cell phones. And when the heat is turned on, telephone calls all over the place, diplomatic back channels and so on, asking what's happening. Yeah? You decide to send a tweet from the account of Angela Quintal, saying that she has been released. Rather her announcing to the world that she has been released. And that's not all. You make several attempts to get into an email account. Now here there are many issues. Yeah, there's privacy. Indeed, there's some very serious legal issues here because these people have not committed any crime. You have not arrested them for anything. These are not even terrorists. Hey. Well, the long and short of this, which may have appeared to some people, very short-sighted and naive people, to be a very small thing, has turned out to be a huge international incident. Completely unnecessary. In fact, what the Committee to Protect Journalists said, they said the Tanzanian authorities had done their job for them because it was a fact-finding mission to find out how much press freedom there is in Tanzania. So the government picked up the journalists, and these are foreign journalists. So it does not take any imagination to imagine what happens to local journalists. So these two journalists were sent there, and of course a report was expected from them. But their work is very easy. They don't need to write any report. They just need to take out press clippings covering the arrest and what was done to them. That is report tosha. Evidence, everything is there. Now what has happened here is the attention of the entire world has been attracted to Tanzania. People are asking, what is happening in Tanzania? And this small incident, let me just keep on calling it small, but it wasn't small. This single incident has opened the eyes of the world to focus on a lot of the other things that are happening in Tanzania. The Tanzanian government ignored politics and shot itself in the foot. That's exactly what they did. Now people are even discussing things which a lot of us did not even know. Like for instance, in September, there were new amendments in Tanzania to the Statistics Act, which made it illegal and enforced very stiff penalties on anybody who contradicts official statistics from the government. So if the government comes out with statistics, even cooks, and says the economy grew by 10%, if you challenge that, minimum 3 years in prison, and a fine of over $4,000, or both. And so, it is hardly surprising that the World Bank, a few hours ago, withdrew its support for the Tanzanian economy. In other words, the World Bank, for now, will not do business with the Tanzanian government. But surely, what do you expect when you pass such laws, Yes, it's not received presidential assent yet. Yes, the president has not signed it into law. But so what? World Bank guys are just wondering if we go into the country and we contradict these figures by the government, we may be locked up. On a more serious note, what it means is that it is impossible to get any reliable figures from Tanzania. How? I mean, who's going to risk 3 years in jail minimum or such a huge fine? Who? And which financier in the world will work without figures? Yeah. Who will give you a loan without any figures of how much salary you earn? Yeah. Whether that money is tied to loans or not? Yeah. Figures. Percentages here and there, growth of the economy, GDP, things like that. Who is going to give you a single cent without reliable figures? It doesn't work like that. Not in this world, maybe in another planet. Now, of course, there's the other very sensitive issue, very sensitive to us Africans, of the clampdown on homosexuals and lesbians, ongoing in Tanzania. Now, before the World Bank releases any funds, they're going to send stuff to Tanzania. Now, what about if some members of that team are homosexuals? Will they want to go to Tanzania? No way. So, quite rightly so, the World Bank says Tanzania is unsafe for any delegation to go there. Yeah, that's what they've said. Anyway, the two journalists, the CPJ journalists, are safely out of Tanzania now. It is not clear what the end game for the government was, what they really wanted to do here. But they ended up releasing a very weak statement saying that the two journalists broke the laws of the country. Because they said they had entered for a normal visit. I wonder what that means, but that's what they said. They had entered for a normal visit, but apparently their visit turned out to be abnormal. I'm telling you. Well, we know very clearly what the issue was. The issue was they were speaking to journalists. And the government obviously did not want secrets of the country, like how journalists are being treated, to go out to the world. That was the objective. However, as I've said right at the beginning of this video, they should have looked at the politics. Because what has happened is that they've ended up achieving the exact opposite. Instead of keeping this thing secret, the whole world now knows Tanzania is not a place, even for foreign journalists. That's really the very clear message. Now, this has happened at a time when already the European Union is in very serious consideration of what to do to deal with Tanzania. Human rights abuses in the country, including the very strange and bizarre kidnapping of Mo Dewji, the youngest billionaire in Africa. So if we're to humor those Tanzanians who are trying to spread falsehoods and saying that John Pombe Magufuli is a very good president for the country, he has very good intentions for the country, which let me accept for now, they're not taking care of their politics. You want to achieve something, but you're completely ignoring the politics. Will it work? How? Whatever good agenda, whatever good intentions this president has just gone up in smoke. No World Bank financing, attention on human rights in the country, etc., etc. So what will happen, because this is politics, what is going to happen over the next 2-3 years, I guarantee you, the government of Tanzania will be very busy putting out fires. They'll have no time to do any work that they had intended to do. They will be busy trying to do repair work, repairing their image, repairing the intentions, making clear what the intentions are to the world, which I don't see how they're going to do that, etc., etc. And this is precisely how governments come down, how they come crashing down, like a house of cards. And they have not been brought down by the opposition. They have not been brought down by journalists writing so-called sensitive stories. They have not been brought down by Kumekucha Chris, speaking the truth on this channel. No way. They have just done it themselves. Let me go back to the first example of the company I used to work for. Yeah, you have this crazy boss, he's a foreigner. Yes, you need justice. Yeah, that's you're right. You need justice. You can't be treated like that in your own country. But instead of stopping to think very carefully of what you're going to do, because you need to put food on the table for your children, you decide to rush forward headlong. You rush to labor, report your boss. What do you expect? Do you sincerely expect to keep your job? How? And you don't even have a union in that company. How? In the same way, you have a Tanzanian government, you've chased away foreign investors, you've kidnapped your own citizens, they've vanished. You've even kidnapped the youngest billionaire in Africa, and of course you're busy denying. Even as the evidence is piling up, what do you expect? Tell me, what do you expect? Now, the World Bank has described this new Statistics Act, the law that has been passed, as being out of line with international standards. Now, that phrase seems to be a very good summary, an excellent summary of exactly what this Tanzanian government under John Pombe Magufuli is doing. They're doing things which are out of line with international standards. Yes, it's a sovereign country. Yes, it's an independent country. They're free to make up their own policies and so on. But they don't live in an island. They live on planet Earth. They're part of the international community. And therefore, there are things they definitely cannot get away with. Really, whatever way you want to look at this, what the Tanzanian government has done is it has decided to simply self-destruct. That is really what it is. And the saddest thing is that I don't even think they've realized it yet. Because they have their operatives very busy on this channel saying how good Magufuli is. I don't see how that will help them. Really, this is the beginning of the end of the Tanzanian government. I don't see it any other way. It's only a matter of time. You can be cooked. You can already be done. But it's only a matter of time before it's fully manifested and you realize it and everybody realizes it. This is exactly what has happened in Tanzania. And maybe it's a good thing, especially for the long-suffering people of Tanzania who have been going through hell in their country, seeing things they have never seen before. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha. Cartels in Kenya are so powerful. It is impossible for the government of Kenya to bring them down. And that is why the latest moves by the DEA in the United States is causing quite a lot of jitters back home here in Kenya. They were not, under any circumstances, going to lose their grip, their grip on power. But there's something else the cartels that started doing way back in 2007. They started fielding candidates in very prominent, powerful political positions so that their influence would remain guaranteed. And we're going to name those individuals shortly.